Welcome everyone to Deadly Dares, how parents and caretakers can help keep adolescents safe from social media challenges. This was recorded in July of 2024 and lasts about 20 minutes. Here are the questions we will answer today. First, what is the problem? What are social media challenges and why are poison centers so concerned about them? I'm also going to share some examples of challenges circulating today. Why are adolescents at a higher risk of harm? What can parents, teachers, coaches, and other caretakers do to help keep them safe? And lastly, how can poison centers help? I'm going to tackle the first question, what is the problem? I'm Kristen Wenger, the Education Coordinator for the Blue Ridge Poison Center at University of Virginia Health. My poison center serves all of the counties shaded in blue on this map of Virginia. My colleague, Shelley Clary from the Virginia Poison Center, is going to tell you more about poison centers later on. But first, let's start by defining a social media challenge. A social media challenge is when someone attempts some sort of task, films themselves trying it, and then posts the video on a social media platform like TikTok or YouTube, along with a hashtag which makes the video searchable. If the video becomes popular, others may copy it, and this can really snowball. Not all challenges are bad. Some are harmless fun, like copying a dance routine, or like the Ice Bucket Challenge of 2014, which raised over $115 million for ALS research. But some are dangerous. Participating in them can cause serious injuries, including poisoning. Poisoning is harm caused by exposure to a substance through swallowing, skin or eye contact, breathing, or injection. This is why poison centers are so concerned about social media challenges. We get many calls about someone who has tried a challenge and is now experiencing harmful effects. Let's take a closer look at one particularly dangerous challenge so you can see how innocently it may all start and how quickly it can spread. I'm talking about the Tide Pod Challenge. When single-serve concentrated laundry detergent packs, like Tide Pods, first arrived on the market, they were mostly a problem for very young children who like to put squishy, colorful things into their mouths. Calls to poison centers all around the country about kids under the age of 6 and these products skyrocketed. And it was a serious problem. Swallowing the liquid inside can cause coughing, choking, vomiting, extreme drowsiness, trouble breathing, and loss of consciousness. Thousands of children have been sickened by the pods, many were hospitalized, and at least 2 toddlers died. In response, there was a huge safety campaign. Also, Tide made some changes to the containers, making them harder for young children to open and to see what was inside. They also put a bitter-tasting coating on the pods and made them harder to break open. Pretty soon, poison center calls began to drop. A few years later, the YouTube site College Humor produced a video titled, "Don't Eat the Laundry Pods, Seriously, They're Poison." In the video, an actor plays a college student who is obsessed with eating the pods. He eventually gives in to the temptation, devours a big handful, and ends up on a stretcher with blue foam pouring from his mouth. The video is satire. It's meant as a joke. It has also been watched 4.5 million times. Soon after the video was published, the hashtag Tide Pod Challenge started going viral. Poison center calls about laundry detergent pods and older children, teens, and adults started rising. During the heyday of the Tide Pod Challenge, a 19-year-old named Mark told a CBS News reporter that he knew better than to eat the soap-filled pod, but decided to do it on a dare. A lot of people were just saying how stupid I was or why would I be willing to do that, he said. No one should be putting anything like that in their mouths, you know? So he was admitting that the challenge is stupid and even dangerous, but he did it anyway. Dr. Cosby is going to talk about this phenomenon in a few minutes. Here are some other popular challenges which poison centers have been dealing with in the last few years. The Benadryl challenge is taking a large amount of diphenhydramine, an over-the-counter drug found in Benadryl and other medicines, in order to get high and hallucinate. At least 2 teens have died and many others have been sickened by this challenge. The Sleepy Chicken Challenge involves cooking chicken in over-the-counter liquid cold medicine, such as NyQuil. The medicine contains several active ingredients, and you could overdose on all of them. Even if you don't eat the chicken, inhaling the medication's vapors while it's cooking could be harmful. The Nutmeg Challenge is consuming large amounts of nutmeg in order to get high and hallucinate. Some people stir spoonfuls of it into milk or water and drink it. Others smoke the nutmeg or snort it. Nutmeg is safe in small amounts, like what may be used in a pie recipe, but in large amounts it can cause nausea and vomiting, anxiety, a racing heartbeat, dizziness, frightening hallucinations, and seizures. The One Chip Challenge was a marketing campaign by the company Paqui. It called for people to eat a single chip made with some of the hottest peppers known, and then see how long they could go without eating or drinking anything. Chips were sold individually in coffin-shaped packages for about $10 each. After a 14-year-old boy died, the company stopped making the chips in September of 2023, and a lawsuit is pending. The Cinnamon Challenge is trying to swallow a spoonful of ground cinnamon without drinking anything. Cinnamon is made of cellulose fibers that dry out the mouth and throat. Trying to swallow a whole spoonful of it triggers a gag reflex and coughing, which can cause someone to accidentally inhale the powder into their lungs. Some participants have developed pneumonia or even needed ventilator support. Chroming is also known as huffing, sniffing, or inhalant abuse. It is concentrating household products such as glue, paint, cleaning products, etc., and then inhaling the fumes in order to get high. The word chroming comes from the current fad of using chrome spray paint as the fume. Inhalant abuse is very addictive and damaging to the brain and other organs. It has been responsible for numerous injuries and deaths. You may be thinking, why did it never occur to me to tell my kid not to snort nutmeg or to eat laundry pods? And how do I know what the next big challenge will be so that I can warn them ahead of time not to do it? Well, you can't. It's impossible to predict what the next big challenge will be. Instead, young people need to hear these 3 messages about how the body is affected by things that you eat, drink, touch, or breathe. First, household products, medicines, and other substances can all be poisonous if used in the wrong way or the wrong amount. Just because something is natural does not automatically mean that it is safe. And lastly, breathing concentrated fumes or gases, even just one time, damages your brain and other organs, and this damage may be permanent. Now we're going to hear from Dr. Cosby, who will tell us more about why adolescents are so attracted to these challenges in the first place.
Thank you so much, Krista, for providing such a thorough overview of what a social media challenge is and the data behind it. We're now going to shift our focus to the why of their engagement and how parents and caregivers can serve as a support as well as a help. My name is Michelle Cosby, and I'm a clinical psychologist at the Virginia Treatment Center for Children. I work with children, adolescents, and families across the Commonwealth of Virginia to meet their mental health needs. I will focus my time on not only my professional opinion as a psychologist, but also on my perspective as a parent who is well aware of the social media challenges and the parenting struggles of remaining up to date and active in a teen's life. So let's begin with the why. Why are adolescents so attracted to social media challenges? First, adolescence in general is a time of growth and development. At the age of 10 to 13 years, there is an increased focus on the need for privacy and focus on yourself. At the age of 14 to 17 is a time for making connections with peers and other relationships in your life. This can create distance from parents in an attempt to connect more with your peers. With these shifts in development is an increased need for approval from your peers, not necessarily approval from parents and caregivers. Social media provides an instant source of following, likes, praise, attention, and all from just a post online. In minutes, a photo, a video can be shared and liked from individuals across the world. Why would a teen not want to have that need for social approval in this way and so rapidly? Secondly, the behavior at this stage of development is driven by emotion and not logic. The part of the brain responsible for logical decision making is not yet fully formed until we reach the mid 20s. So the developing adolescent brain is focused on the emotional high of an experience in the moment, not the long term consequences of the action or the consequences of a 60-second post online. This is normal for an adolescent to want. Third, social media rewards outrageous behavior. The more ridiculous, the more absurd, the better. The rapid response creates an immediate sense of happiness and attention and a strong adrenaline rush. And again, you meet your needs instantly. And so the more outrageous, the more attention. Also, the more ridiculous, the more likes, views, shares, subscribers. The more likely you are to get those things rapidly, the more likely you are going to be to look for something bigger, better, more intense with a higher adrenaline rush. Those things all make adolescents higher risk for engaging in social media challenges. Now, let us shift a little bit and talk about how adults can be helpful. One of the key components in all of this is making sure that we leave space for conversations about risk. Not only conversations about risk, but also general conversations. Make space and time to be interested in what your teens are doing or would be doing. Stay in the know. Pay attention. Do so routinely. And not only just when there's a concern or trouble, keep in the know about all the day to day things that are going on. Ask about their day. Ask how they're feeling, how their friends are doing, what's going on within their friend group. The more you give space for normal conversations, the more comfortable both you and your teen will become with having general conversations. Become friends with your children on social media. Know what they are posting so that you can not only be aware and observant of when trouble is there, but also be observant and praise when there is positive and appropriate use of a social media presence. Validate the need to engage in trends and openly discuss those risks. Let them know that you understand, or at least want to understand, the need to do what peers are doing and discuss the importance of understanding the risks of being involved, with the risks being some as mild as a couple of people looking online to hundreds or thousands of people looking at you online. Also, thinking about the more severe consequences, such as hospitalization or medical concerns that arise when you're engaging in dangerous challenges as well. Model and encourage healthy social media habits. Reflect and think about your own social media habits and reflect on what they're teaching your teens. If you're doing the behavior challenge, what is it teaching your child about that challenge? Adolescents learn way more from what they see us doing than what we tell them. No one's perfect. We're not going to always get it right, but it's important that we discuss with them why and how we use our own social media and nurture discussions around rational decision making and how we make choices around our social media presence. Communication is key. Again, engage in routine conversations with teens. That can be at dinner, in the car, or while cleaning up together. Don't wait for trouble. Conversations only had as a correction don't usually feel good for anyone involved. Set the tone of talking as normal and expected. Once the space and the door is open for conversations, it's much easier to have difficult conversations. Prying open a closed, locked door is much more difficult than opening one that has a space left open. Ask about what their friends and peers are doing. What's the most ridiculous thing they've seen online this week, at school, on the bus? What do they think about it? What would they do differently or the same? Ask about challenges that they've heard of and what they think of the challenge. Is it crazy? Do they think they could do better? Why? Be curious and not judgmental. If you start by saying it's stupid, what information will you receive next? And will it be real and authentic information? And if they want to participate in challenges, ask questions like, What do you think about this challenge? If you did the challenge, what could or would happen? What is scary about the challenge? Be calm and discuss the risk and benefits together. As mentioned by Kristen earlier, some very common household items, when used inappropriately, have deadly consequences. Be open to learning together. Many of these topics that I've discussed will help with prevention and making sure that the door is open so that we can talk about concerns and challenges before they're completed. It's so important that when we think about how adults can support kids, is that we also identify the importance of knowing your teen and knowing your resources. We want to be able to identify how do we help not only before the challenge, but also after a challenge has been completed and we have concerns. Shelley Clary will share the role of poison control as a significant support and a resource when we are in need of guidance as well as potentially life-saving intervention when our child has potentially engaged in a particularly dangerous form of a challenge.
Hello, my name is Shelley Clary, and I am the Education Specialist at the Virginia Poison Center at VCU Health. Our center serves all of the counties shaded in orange on this map. I want to thank Dr. Cosby for sharing such great information and tips on why adolescents and teens feel the need to participate in these risky social media challenges and how to talk to them about it. As we move forward, I will be sharing information with you on how the Poison Center can help parents or teens when it comes to these social media challenges. First, I want to mention how much of a valuable resource Poison Centers can be to both parents and teens. We like to remind people that Poison Centers are free to call. All conversations between you and our staff are confidential. Poison Centers are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we are staffed by individuals who go through extensive training and are well versed in poison information. A few statistics that you might find interesting when it comes to poisonings and poison centers. Poisoning is actually the leading cause of unintentional injury death in the United States, as reported in 2020. Over 2 million human exposures reported to U.S. poison centers in 2022. 93% of poisoning cases in the United States occurred in a residence, so in a home. It doesn't have to be their home, but just a home. 67% of those cases were managed on site, meaning that Poison Center staff were able to tell callers what to do at home so they didn't have to go to an emergency room or an urgent care. And our goal as Poison Centers is to assist in emergency poisoning situations. We want to manage as many cases on site as possible, and we want to provide the necessary education in order to spread awareness of potential poisons and to reduce future poisoning incidents. When it comes to calling the Poison Center, people often fear their information may be shared or reported. However, as I've already mentioned in a previous slide, that calls to Poison Centers are confidential. Another reason people are hesitant to call is they think that what they're calling about is not a big enough emergency or it's silly. But I want to point out that Poison Centers are here to answer non-emergency poison-related questions as well. This is a no judgment zone when you call. Which leads me to discuss some of the common call topics we see across the board at Poison Centers. Drugs and medicines. These can be prescription, over-the-counter, vitamins, supplements, illegal or recreational drugs. Household, personal care, and garden products. Chemicals, bites and stings, plants, food poisoning, environmental, or any item that gives an individual an unwanted or unexpected reaction. When you call the Poison Center, a poison information specialist will answer your call, usually a registered nurse who has passed a rigorous exam to become a certified specialist in poison information, or in some cases, it may be a pharmacist who answers your call. Again, I want to stress that these calls are confidential and non-judgmental. Poison Center staff will begin by asking you a series of questions. Some of these questions may include age of patient, symptoms that they are experiencing, medical history if you know it, name of the product, strength or dose of the product, how long ago it happened, name, phone number, and zip code, and the relationship to the patient. It's important to note, though, that when answering these questions, you can provide the answers that you can or are willing to disclose. It is also great if you can have the medicine, chemical, or substance in front of you when calling to provide specific details about the product to the poison specialist for best treatment advice. The specialist will then be able to provide first aid recommendations based on the information you have provided. As we wrap up this presentation, we just want to remind parents and adolescents that poison centers are here to assist by answering questions about what could happen or to provide treatment advice for suspected poisonings. The Poison Helpline is fast, free, confidential, and available 24/7. To save the number in your phone, simply scan the QR code on the screen. You can also text 301-597-7137 to add the Poison Center as a contact in your phone. Don't worry though, the 800 number is the same across the country. Thank you for taking time to listen to our presentation. We know keeping up with the latest viral trends and having these conversations with adolescents and teens can be difficult. We hope you found this information helpful as you begin to navigate a new school year.